Hi crafters, Raquel here with Paints and Glitter. Today I'm coming along with this adorable die set. It is the Hat Box die set from Tonic Studios, and as you see here on my little label, it contains 23 pieces. So I'm going to insert a picture on the corner of the screen here of what the cover is that you will receive along with your set when you get it in the mail. And as you can see here, it actually has these circles and it has a rectangle here. So the circles here create the bottom and the lid of your box. Then you have this rectangular panel with this really beautiful intricate cut that you can make. And then you see these little strips. There is this one here with the little tabs. There's this one that has an actual little angle here at the end. This one's rounded on both ends. Another little strip here that matches these three here, along with this longer strip. There are sentiments. They actually read thanks, celebrate, for you, and with love. There's also some hexagons and this little flower. So a lot to kind of take a peek at here really quickly, but let me tell you, it makes the most adorable box, and I tried to not have a favorite, but I think from 2024 so far, of the smaller sets that have been released by Tonic Studios, this may be my favorite, and let me show you why. Look at the impact that you're going to be able to make by using these dies. It makes this gorgeous, gorgeous box. I was so excited when I started putting this together that I honestly just was taken aback by the results of just being able to take plain paper, as I always say in my videos, and transform that plain paper into something so absolutely darling that will convey so much when the recipient receives it. I've made a matching little card as well that I'm going to show you here, and look at how sweet. And that's just using two pieces of that intricate panel that you can cut out. It does have the matching border, so you can cut into the background using that piece, or you can use that border and cut into your paper and get that darling panel. Here I've used the sentiment that says with love, and I did cut that out of satin card from Tonic Studios. And for the box that you see here, I've used the little flowers. I cut them out of white cardstock as well as vellum. I did use the sentiment that says for you. I cut that out twice, and then I actually cut the background out of vellum. Then I decorated the border of that background using a marker. It's called a dual dot, actually, and this is a color platinum gold. I tend to reach for these a lot because I really love the way that you can just add a sweet little border to any die cut, and it just looks very elegant. Speaking of elegance, there's these beautiful strips that you're going to be able to cut and make this darling bow out of. And by the way, they are 12 strips in total. And of course, in this video, I'm going to show you how to make one. The strips also match the ones that you see here on the side of the box. So what I did is, to make it all cohesive, I used two different Nuvo Drops for this one in particular. They were the Glitter Drop in Gold Coast and also in Bubblegum Blush. This is a crystal drop. So depending on the size of the drop and how you apply it, of course, you can go bigger and create the centers of your flowers, or you can just dab onto the paper and get the little drops that I applied onto every single strip. And I did alternate the gold and the pink. So at the end of this video, I'll show you some pictures so you get a little bit of a better look into that. But you can also highlight the little swirls. So that's exactly what I did there, was add a little bit more drops throughout. This box, by the way, measures a total of about 4 3/4 inches in diameter. So it's a nice, substantial little box. And then you can, of course, put some tissue inside for your presentation. You can cut the paper to match the lid. You can also double it up. And this is one thing I wanted to bring up. The actual core of this box, or the base, I made using Tonic Studios classic card, which is about 80-pound weight, and then I did double that up, so there is a second layer here that you may be able to notice when I tilt this. So it is nice and substantial with that weight paper. Of course, you could use these little panels in 300 GSM if you wish to. The same goes for the bottom of the box, if you see how nicely finished that is. And this is that classic card, and then that decorative paper here you may recognize, and that paper is from Shabby Meadow from Tonic Studios. So I do believe this is still available, at least in the US site. So I'll go ahead and link that below. It has these gorgeous papers, and of course you get to see how you can really highlight that if you'd like to. So I did use it as the top layer on the lid, and then on the inside you see the same matching layer as you see on the bottom of that box. So you can do a lot with this. Of course, you can stack these boxes and just put a bow on the uppermost one, but let me tell you, I just think it comes together so easily. Let me show you the one that we'll make together, and that's this one here. I used the same paper collection, only this time around I did use some satin card in different colors to supplement that beautiful paper that I use as the base. And what I wanted to point out here is that instead of using the decorative paper as a layer, I actually used it as the foundation of the card. And then what I did is that I cut panels out of that beautiful minty blue paper to layer on the inside, so you do see that contrast. I also used a gray card just for the base there. It's actually silver. So it's up to you how you want to make these. This one also has the word "with love" on the side, just with a little label there. But I wanted to mention that if you want it to be really substantial, if you plan on maybe placing something a little bit heavier inside, then by all means, use the classic card as your foundation, and then place the layers on top of all of your pretty papers, the ones that maybe are not as heavy. That's just my tip there in terms of construction. And then of course, as far as the bow is concerned, you can use absolutely any kind of paper there. It doesn't have to be a heavy paper, but let me just tell you, I mean, it's just gorgeous. So now let's go on to the tutorial. To create this adorable little hat box, you're going to be cutting out some circles with the dies included, of course. 2 of them are going to be smaller. They're about 4 7/8 inches in diameter, and then 2 will be larger, and this is about 4 3/4 inch in diameter. Then for the sides of your box and the bottom, you're going to be using the smaller of the circles along with 4 pieces that have this little scalloped edge there. Those are going to be the little tabs. Then along with that, for the lid, you'll need the 2 larger circles, and then 4 of these thinner strips that you can decorate, as you see there. They also have the little semicircular tabs on the side. Along with that, you'll be using a large and a small hexagon, and then 12 strips that look like this. You're going to be decorating those if you'd like to, with the die included, as you see there. You're also going to need 4 strips that look like this, and you can go ahead and decorate those. The die included will of course fit perfectly in there. And then you're going to be needing 4 strips that look like this. They have the little arrow edge there on one end, and then you can decorate those as well. There's also a die that will allow you to create some little flowers. I've layered mine here and added some Nuvo Drops in the center, and those are still drying there off to the side, but I'll be using those. And then of course there are sentiments included. I've chosen the one that says "with love," and that just debosses right into the paper. So I did use some pearlized paper, and then also the little scalloped border die, but there is one that's smooth. So to begin, we're going to need a paper creaser, and this is to start shaping our paper. Go ahead and do this on all 4 of these pieces. And once you have those, then go ahead and adhere them end to end where you see the little tab piece. So right up to that score line. Go ahead and join these together. And you're going to create a long strip by adhering all 4 of these. Okay, so once you've got 2 together and 2, go ahead and join them to create one long piece. This, of course, is going to adhere together at the end, but first, what you can do is fold down all of the little tabs. Once you have your nice long strip and all of those little edges folded over and prepped, then you can take the layer that's going to be the inside of your box, and you're going to start adhering those scallops all the way around. So if you're more comfortable, you can add the adhesive to the scallops, or you can add it to the perimeter of the paper. I tend to go back and forth. It's whatever is most comfortable at the moment, but you're going to be pressing this paper along that edge and making sure that those little scallops adhere right onto that paper. So it's going to take a moment for you to make contact there and get that paper to start adhering. But you're going to work your way all around the edge. I like to get it started, and if you want to use double-sided adhesive, by all means, you can use some red line tape here if you like. I'm going to use my liquid adhesive because I want this to create a really nice strong bond, because where I live the temperature fluctuates quite greatly. So I find that liquid adhesive is what I'm most comfortable with. Okay, that started to make contact there. I'm going to work my way all the way around, and I'll be right back. Once you get to the end, make sure that you overlap these papers. Apply your adhesive on that edge. And then apply some pressure to join these 2 pieces together. We now have the bottom layer of our box. Don't forget that there are layering pieces to this, and that's these 2 rectangles. So if you want to add a second layer to this, you can definitely do so on the inside of the box, which is probably what I'll end up doing. And coupled together with this ornate piece, you could certainly create panels for the outside, and you may want to adhere those either before or after you assemble the actual bottom there. What I'm going to do now is that I want to make sure that this is nicely covered, and that's where this pretty paper is going to come in handy. So I'm simply going to adhere this on the bottom, and that way it's going to match the lid. So I'm ensuring that I add enough adhesive here. And of course, if you would like to, go ahead and back this up with a piece of gray board underneath, and then apply it to the bottom of the box. That's really up to you. It is going to have a little edge if you do that, but by all means you can always decorate that, or simply color the edge using a metallic marker or anything like that. Now that I have it situated, I'm going to flip that over again, and now I am going to just apply some pressure with my paper creaser to make sure that makes full contact all the way around before that adhesive dries fully. Okay, now I'm going to set this aside and let's create the top. To assemble the top of this box, we're going to repeat the steps in terms of using these 4 pieces here, and we're going to adhere them end to end first. I've already decorated mine. I'm going to guide myself by the tab that is on the end here. This is going to create one long strip. Okay, this is now going to adhere to the bottom part of that box lid. So in the same manner, we're going to fold these little tabs to get them started. Now that this is ready, I am going to adhere it to the perimeter of this larger circle. So again, you can pick a way to do this, whether it be to apply the adhesive to every single little tab, which is easy enough. You can certainly do it that way. Or on the paper, on the perimeter of that circle. But just hold on to that. Make sure that you're creating contact, edge to edge. Then you can move on to the next one. So this is definitely not something that you want to rush through. I always emphasize that in my videos while creating 3D projects. It is not something that you want to create really quickly, because then you will lose the integrity of the shape. I know that I'm able to edit my videos to make them shorter, but in true reality, I would say that you should expect to spend some time to create these little projects so that you get really great results. So I'll be back once I have this adhered all the way around. Once again, we want to make sure that we do adhere this end to end. Once this has been adhered all the way around, you can go ahead and apply your adhesive to all the tabs. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is that sometimes if the adhesive dries a little bit quickly on you, you can always go back and add a little bit more wherever you deem it necessary, and then just go ahead and apply pressure again. And I do it always in the same fashion by using the table as my resting place for that paper. And then that way I'm not struggling to reach over or try to pinch the paper. But I do like to hold it together if it's a piece like this to make sure that that angle is nice and straight so the paper does not overlap. Now that this is ready to go, of course, we want to cover this up again using the pretty paper that we have selected. And this time around, I'm just going to apply adhesive to this panel. Now this can go right on top, just like so. And you may want to allow this to rest underneath something not too heavy. While this is drying, I'm going to set it aside and we can work on what's going to be the really pretty aspect of this box. So we're going to take 6 strips. We're going to start with this, and we're also going to use the largest of the 2 hexagons. You're going to notice that these do have 2 score lines. So go ahead and score this, fold it along the larger score line, okay? And what you're going to do is adhere that triangle to the edge of that hexagon. So if you need to, you can start it off like this. Okay, so I'm going to do that on all 6 pieces. And you may have noticed that I've already curled these, and I did use my paper creaser, okay? So be sure to do that before you begin, and I should have mentioned that before I started. Just make sure you give this a nice curl. And of course you can tell that I've also decorated them with that really pretty decorative strip. So always use this from the center out, and then that way you don't rip your paper or accidentally leave a crease in it. And this is pearlescent card from Tonic Studios, so I'll link the names down below in case you're interested. Find it more comfortable to do it this way, but I'm just going to join all of these strips along the edge of this hexagon. And I'm going to continue this all the way around. Now that I have all of these adhered, what I'm going to do is find that matching little triangle, and that's actually going to adhere right on top of the one that I adhered first. So they're simply going to match each other. So you can flip this one up if you want to. It makes it easier. And then match your little triangle to the one you had placed there before. You can get all of your little triangles all the way around just by placing it right on top of the previous one. Okay, we now have this, and while this is drying, I'm going to work on the smaller one. So that is the smaller hexagon with 6 more strips. We're going to adhere them in the same fashion, only this time we're only folding the smaller portion of that triangle. So that is the second score line there. So be sure to fold one up and one down if you'd like, and then repeat that on all of these. Use that small triangle to now adhere this to the edge of this small hexagon. So that edge should meet that score line that you folded, just like so. And then be sure to repeat that 5 more times. So in the same manner, once you have all of these adhered, go ahead and take your little triangles and match them up to their coordinating one right on the base of that little hexagon. And all those little points are going to face the center. You would have curled your paper using that paper creaser. It makes it a whole lot easier. And then just apply pressure as you join these. You can go all the way around if you'd like to, depending on how comfortable you are. Holding that paper down, aiming it there. And I even like to use the flat edge of this tool just to help me hold down the paper in case I can't reach. This is going to be your uppermost layer, so of course you're going to want to cover that raw edge, and for that you can just go ahead and cut another little hexagon and place it right there in the center to finish this part off. Just make sure it falls right into the correct angles there. And to apply pressure again using this tool. Okay, you now have something that looks like this. And this is going to adhere right in the center of the larger one. Okay, so you can pull these back if you'd like to. Makes it a whole lot easier, and you're not going to damage anything. And then apply adhesive on this smaller one. Right in the center of that hexagon. And then, of course, you may want to overlap these so that it gives a bit more volume. And also so you can have some room for those loops. And it's up to you whether or not you want to use some hot glue here. I'm going to hang on to this until it's dry, and I'll be right back. While our bow is drying, what we can do now is make sure to reinforce the base of this box. That's where these little strips are going to come in handy. So go ahead and find your seams, and that little score line is going to tell you where to fold your paper so that you can apply these. They're going to be decorative, but they're also going to help your little box be a little bit sturdier. And as you can see, I did use that layering piece to go ahead and cut paper to layer inside. And that's because I wanted this to be nice and sturdy. So again, find your seam, apply your paper here, fold it along that score line, and then do the same on the bottom. If you want to, of course, you can do this before you apply the bottom of the box. It's really up to you, your personal preference. I honestly don't think there's a bad or wrong way to do it. Okay, once you've done this, go ahead and repeat that on all of the other seams with the other 3 tabs. And then we're going to do the same with the lid. So for the lid, we have little seams here on the side, and then we have this piece here that has that arrow tip. So we're going to find the seam, we're going to find also the score line on this piece, we're going to fold it, and we're going to match that to to the side of the lid and then adhere it toward the center. So all of those little pieces are going to face the center of that box, and they're going to also provide stability all the way around. So I'm going to apply adhesive to this entire piece. I'm going to find my seam. I'm going to fold that over, hold on to that, and then just push this toward the center. So I'm going to do the same with the lid. As I mentioned, the bottom, apply these pieces, and then we will finish this box. Okay, I've gone ahead and adhered all 4 of the pieces here. Again, following the seams of the paper where I had joined these strips on the side. And as you can see, it joins really nicely in the center. And then, of course, I completed the bottom in the same fashion. So you can line these up if you'd like to now to close this box. It closes quite easily, in fact. Now you can finish decorating this by applying this gorgeous bow on top. This is a showstopper bow is what I'm going to call it. Apply a generous amount of hot glue to the bottom here, because this is going to help me make sure that this makes full contact. Just about so is fine. And then of course you can position this however you like, and then just press down. You want to make sure that it's nicely centered, of course. I'm going to use this tool again just to apply pressure there. Okay, once that's been applied, you can of course shape these depending on the paper that you've used. As I had mentioned before, you can even open it up a little bit and apply adhesive to those loops to make sure that they kind of fold down a little bit more, or you can just finish it off with these gorgeous little flowers here and there along with the sentiments that are included. So I'm just going to place mine on the side just like so. And you can repeat that all the way around if you want to. You can add the flowers to the bow, whatever you like. Just to make sure it makes full contact there. I think it's so pretty. Okay, so when it's all said and done, as you can see, of course, you can decorate the boxes any way that you like, whether it be by adding little flowers that are monochromatic all throughout, sprinkle them as you like, or of course you can add them, as I did here, to a little ribbon on the side where I supplemented that with the actual little sentiment. But it's up to you, of course, how elaborate you make any of these. And here, by the way, I wanted to point out that the same little strip that you can use for the edge of that lid is what I used here in the center of the card. And I just threaded some gold thread right through it, and then applied that onto the card with some adhesive. Just let your creativity flow, basically. But I do hope that you have enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget that I do invite you to subscribe and also use my affiliate links if you feel that you'd love to use this type of set as well. And it is at a beautiful price point, by the way. So let me know your thoughts, okay? And don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. I hope to see you again. And as I always say, I hope that you can be inspired and be blessed. And thank you so much for watching.